Good afternoon. I'm Dillon from the batch of 2006, and I'm here to welcome you for the induction ceremony for the batch of 2020. And we're very honored to have our chief guest, Mrs. Praminder Langar, who is an Old Sanawarian, a prominent educationist, and she is from the batch of 1970. We also have with us retired Lieutenant General Langar. We have the headmaster, the president, immediate past president, and all the members of the executive committee of the Old Sanawarian Society. Now, you all are really lucky to have something called the induction ceremony, because when we all passed out, and I speak on behalf of the entire committee, none of us really knew what the Old Sanawarian Society was or what we were getting into. So I'm just going to quickly briefly take you into what it is about. Now, it was founded in 1914 by Reverend George Bond, and it's continued to grow, and currently we boast of over 5,000 members. The first president of the society was elected at Founders 1979, and he's still active in the affairs of the society, and currently he actually recently attended the AGM during Founders. Now, the aim of the Old Sanawarian Society is to work towards the interest and the benefit of the fraternity of Old Sanawarians and the school. Being a member implies that you will be included in this global network. We have several active chapters worldwide. Old Sanawarians worldwide can be approached for personal or professional reasons, because our network focuses on mentorship, bonding, and relationships. Now, the question arises, who is a member? All Sanawarians are life members of the society once they pay a prescribed fee and his batch finishes the final school leaving exam. Also, you have to have been in Sana prior to 1947, or completed 3 years and passed a public exam, or completed 2 years and passed the final school leaving exam, or studied for 3 years prior to 1955, or for 4 years thereafter. Now, these students will have full voting rights in the society, provided his or her membership is not suspended. Students who do not meet the before mentioned criteria will be something called as an associate member. This means that you won't have voting rights in the society. Now, it's also imperative that you draw a distinction between the OSS and the Lawrence School Sanawar Society, or the LSS. The LSS manages the school through the Board of Governors, whereas the OSS is an alumni network for old students, which was formed, as mentioned earlier, in 1914 and registered in 1996. Now, after this brief introduction, I would now like to call upon the headmaster to come and give a few words.
Good afternoon. I'll keep it exactly a few words. It's a wonderful feeling for me as well, because like I speak to all of you, the batch of 2020, that in many ways I am also batch of 2020. And to be here at the Warriors Grove for your induction ceremony, I think it's a matter of great privilege to all of us. It's been rightly said that you're going to move into a much bigger body than just a small school. The school looked after you, the school nurtured you, the school taught you a lot of things. But as you go out into this wild world, there are a lot of people who are there to support you and help you out. And this is where the OS fraternity outside the hilltop is going to help you out. So I wish you all the very best in your life. I'll have more occasions to talk to you in detail. But today, I just wish to convey my good wishes to all of you. All the best.
I would now like to call upon the Vice President of the Society, Mrs. Praneet Babbar, from the batch of 1990, to introduce our chief guest.
So you are all very, very lucky to have Mrs. Langar here. I did a little research and discovered that for the better part of 4 decades, Mrs. Langar has led a double life. Pretty spooky, huh? One as the wife of the army officer who shifted to 18 houses, traveling across the country and world, working for the welfare of army families, building systems to develop skills for soldiers' wives, solve their grievances, and improve education, impacting thousands of families wherever she was posted. The second is Preminda, a highly trained, firebrand educator, specializing in primary education and who has had a knack for bucking the system and bringing in form of education focused on student engagement rather than rote. In her 40s, she did her teacher's training in New York's Bank Street College, and has remained focused on creating systems to build a responsible, questioning, and thinking individual in each of her students. Her impact on her students was such that both her children complain that despite their individual accolades, they've remained Preminda ma'am's kids. Central to a lot of what she is today, she credits her time at Sanawar, and she loved almost every day of the 6 years she spent here. A self-proclaimed average student, the school mark reading system, in lieu of exams, allowed her the freedom to explore her identity without academic burden. Today, she writes curriculum for schools across the country, is a teacher trainer, the wife of a retired army officer, and a mother and a grandmother to one. The rest I leave her to share with you. Mrs. Langer.
I'm not going to keep it short. All right, my address is going to be in 5 parts. Part 1. First, an unbelievable thank you for me to stand here in front of you. Thank you, Headmaster Sir. Thank you to all the staff and to the staff present and past, because I've been taught by people, some of the staff parents have been my teachers. I thank those WhatsApp groups that have bound us again and brought us back into loving school almost every day. I will open my batch group every day to see what's on WhatsApp. I thank both the president, past presidents of the OS Society, and the members of the executive boards who are here, and you, the future alumni of our school. It's a good place to be. Part 2, the ubiquitous quote that every good speech maker gives. And that says, man, I'm sure glad you know the Pythagoras' theorem, but here's a list of things you never learned in school. How to do taxes, what taxes are, how to manage money, anything to do with banking, how to grow food, how to handle rejection, how to love yourself. And people, you don't need to love yourself, you just need to like yourself a lot and respect yourself, the rest will happen. How to handle interviews, how to buy your first home, how to survive in the wild, and I don't mean Sanawar Camp wild, I mean that wild out there in the jungles of the urban offices, and how to handle yourself in dangerous situations. Well, I'm going to give you the answer to that. It's already been given to you. I'm just going to reiterate. That's what the Old Sanawarians are for. You're going to have 2 WhatsApp groups as OS. One is going to be your batch group, and I really hope you stay connected so that when you're 65, you open that group and say, oh my God, because you know how they were when they grew up. And the second group is your local WhatsApp group, which again you have been briefed about. In that group will be your mentors. They are going to be people who you're going to say, listen, I have an interview in finance, can somebody help me? Listen, I need an internship. You know what, I have an idea and I want to publish. They're all of us there. Put it into your group and you're going to get a reply. Have faith in us. But I'm also going to tell you, you're going to be an OS, join the OS alumni. Now there are 3 types of people in the alumni. 1, the indifferent kind. Whether they're there or not makes no difference. Then there are the really wise, smart ones who give so much negative feedback and not a single positive suggestion. I just hope you don't join them. And then there's the rest of us who are there to help you and help each other. And I mean, I'm telling you, the Gurgaon group says, my mom's got cancer, where can I go? And farak, so many replies come. That's the kind of bonding we all are having thanks to WhatsApp. So use it. And as I was saying, and has been said, you're going to have your mentors, your guides, your help in that group. Go for it. And there are lots of old people there. They might talk about dinosaurs and all. Ignore them. Go for the younger lot, okay? Now, part 3. I have to tell you, you know, we're the Golden Jubilee batch. You're the young batch of 2020. We're the Golden Jubilee batch of 2020. So we have a magic connect. I'm going to tell you a very strange thing that Rajiv and I, our course mates, we've discovered. There's going to be a lot of change in your dynamics. The people who are the natural leaders of our batch, we didn't even know who they were in school, right? So there is going to be so much change. So hang in there together and watch each other grow and change and be amazed on what your batch is going to achieve. Why me? Why am I here, for heaven's sakes? You know, when I was maybe not in upper 6th, but when I was fairly senior, Miss you know, our head of school, Miss Chatterjee, she was a tiny little thing, and I have this distinct memory of her saying, you're the trouble of all the, you're the cause of all the trouble in girls' school, you're the cause of all the trouble in boys' school, and I don't know when you're going to affect prep school. I mean, what did I do? Okay, I think I was really cheeky. And I believe that, you know, I was frank and fearless and I spoke my mind. But I discovered as an adult, okay, show of hands, should you speak your mind or not? Show of hands? Right. You don't have to be frank and fearless, okay? Tact will get you everywhere. If you have to succeed in life, if you put everybody's backs up, it's not going to work. Cause a trouble in boys' school, please. They weren't in love with me. It was I was instigating them to rebellion or something, right? So tact. Prepare what you're going to say. Say it coolly. Say it calmly. Be assertive. Never be aggressive. Because I discovered actually that I was not frank and fearless. I was either too or too dumb to think of what to say. I just said it. So tact is what is going to win you friends and influence people. So why am I here? I have no idea, but I'm telling you why I want to be here. Because everything I am today is from Sanawar. And how I know this is when I did my teacher's training in New York, they made you write down about your school. And I found that every value I held, it drives my husband nuts. If we have one piece of chocolate, I'll cut it into 4 pieces. And that's from Sanawar. Everybody must share whatever you have equally, right? Yes. Right. Again, whenever we're walking in a group, not today I ran, but whenever we're walking in a group, I'm always the last. Why? Because Sanawar says, leave no one behind. So as you get senior, you start looking after the juniors and somebody's always in the end bringing in the rear. That's Sanawar. I learned teamwork in Sanawar. And it's my most precious gift. Okay, I have to tell you a bad story. I was cheeky, but I was also a prude. Okay, so I don't know what house, I hope you guys are better, but in our time in girls' school, okay, you're going to film this, doesn't matter. You know, you used to change your blouse like this so nothing showed. And then one girl got challenged. Listen, what is all this rubbish? I'll give you a chocolate if you just change in front of everybody. And she did. I walked up to her, I said, you know what you are, you're up. You did it for money. And Mrs. Kemp happened to be there. Oh, people, you don't know what Mrs. Kemp was. She made you tremble in your boots, but you loved her. Okay? And she actually went and told my best friends who were Civolicans that, you know, she's not a girl to be friends with. She's bad influence. And it just so happened we're still friends. So what did I learn from that? Things that you might revile at one age might be something you admire later, so you needn't have to shout it out in public. 2, listen to advice, but you don't have to take it, because you must think through things through for yourself. Also, Like Mrs. Kemp, she never held it against me. I loved health science. It was my favorite subject. I did well in it. Hold no grudges and have the maturity to move on. Okay, I was in Sanawar. I was dyslexic and dysgraphic. Nobody knew what it was. So my written work was like red. And Mrs. Montfort was our English teacher. And so, I mean, she must have figured out like this kid can't write. So instead of marking me on 10 and giving me minus 15 for every error, she just deducted 2 marks and marked me out of 8. And that was my first year in Sanawar, and she taught me, yes, I can. In my first year in Sanawar, I left modern school because I couldn't cope with the academics, but in Sanawar, they let me believe that I could. And that is the greatest gift this school gave me. Okay, here's another cheeky story. Mr. Atmaram, Hindi teacher, we were doing Heer Ranja, and they were doing some conventional thing in the dance room, you know. And I must have gone up in my usual cheeky way and said, you know what, this is so boring. I think you can do this and I think you can do that and all. And I was just looking at his face. Now I'm an adult. He just looked at me blank. He must have been wanting to slap me. But he just looked at me blank, took my feedback and made some changes. I don't say he went with my ideas, but he made the changes. So what did I learn from that? Don't let your own ego get in the way of somebody else's good ideas, however obnoxious that person is. Right? Go beyond the voice, go beyond the tone, because a good idea is gold. And you will never know where a good idea is coming from. Another thing I learned from Sanawar, never sneak. I have never sneaked in Sanawar, and I've never sneaked as an adult, and I have never stabbed anybody in the back. That's really Sanawar part of me, right? Okay, another gift that I got from Sanawar was competition versus collaboration. Even in Sanawar, when we compete, look, we didn't have positions, we didn't have exams, we had a few best students, but it wasn't an everyday thing because we had mark readings. What a mark reading does, and we really need to start it again. I'm saying this as an educationist. You never knew which classwork or homework was going to be marked. So you worked at a steady rate every day instead of for that one event. So we learned that competition was never for oneself but for one's house. And so actually that competition was collaboration, right? It is really good. It's a good lesson in life. Part 4. It's the story of Arun Khetarpal. You know, I wrote a set of books for a publishing house and it never got published, and I'm so happy that I have a chance to read this story to you. Arun Khetarpal, you all know about him. So when Sanjeev was posted and my husband was posted to Mathura, they were celebrating the Battle of Basantar, which is his battle, and I was sitting next to his mother, and they were doing this whole thing in shadow play. So you had Arun's tank, and it gets hit, and his commanding officer says, Arun, abandon tank, your tank is on fire. And Arun says, so sir, my gun is still working. And his mom says, hi Arun, tumne ye kya kiya? So despite this heroic boy, there is this family that misses him very much. Another amazing thing which I discovered was, he was 21, he died in 1971. And in 2021, he will be 71. It will be the Golden Jubilee, 50 years since he died. Anyway, so this story that I wrote for this publishing house was, I imagined the Battle of Basantar with the school song. So I'm going to read it to you. Never given is our motto. Strive to the set of sun, learn, truth, days of youth. Long Hudson run, heart seems bursting, may not win, yet come in. 16th December 1971, first light. Exhausted by the harrowing task of clearing a minefield the previous night, almost deafened by the roars of exploding shells, out of the blue the words of his school song popped into his head. His heart was bursting, yet his mind was clear. He slowed his breathing, calming himself, stillness. He zeroed into who he was. I have been born in a family steeped in the traditions of the Indian Army. I studied in a school that taught me determination. I wear the colors of a regiment that has produced outstanding officers. Besides, compared to the National Defense Academy, clearing the mines in the fields of Basantar was a cakewalk. And with his sense of humor back, the young Arun Khetarpal answered the crackle of his tank radio. Enemy tanks approaching, B Squadron under grave threat, Request reinforcements earliest. Arun's trained ear could recognize every voice of the men in his regiment. His unit needed him. Of his tank troop of 3 tanks, 1 was damaged. Reloading his personal weapon, he ordered his 2 remaining tanks to move into the village of Jarpal. Surrounded by enemy fire, his own tank roared into the heart of battle. Never give in, Sanar. It's the cricket motto too. Somebody's got to stop the rot, and why not you? 16th December 1971, the enemy had been routed. At pistol point, Arun had captured some enemy soldiers. However, the commander of his troop's 2nd tank had been killed. Alone, in charge, and undeterred, Arun chased the enemy tank and he thought, somebody's got to stop the rot, so it may as well be me. The enemy was regrouping. He had now been joined by 2 more of his regimental tanks. The ground shook as the mighty metal monsters roared into the smoking fields of Basanta. He was an autopilot. His perfect training taking over. Men and machines meshed in terrifying harmony. Load, aim, fire, move, all synchronized in teamwork that needed no words. In the graveyard of the tanks, 4 hits were by the crew of Arun's tank. The battle grew grimmer. One of the 3 Indian tanks commanders was wounded, and then the gun of the 2nd tank jammed. Arun was on his own for the 2nd time. Never give in, Sanar. You're all alone and on your own with life's stern game to play. With steely resolve, he continued. The earth shook. They were enveloped in smoke. Arun's tank had been hit. It was immobile. The radio set crackled. Arun, your tank is on fire. Abandon tank. Arun realized that he was the focal point of the enemy advance, and it was only he who could stop the onslaught of the enemy. No, sir, I will not abandon my tank. My gun is still working. Like a wall, he held back the enemy. He destroyed a tank just 100 meters from his own. He swung his turret towards the looming shadow of an enemy tank. There was a bright flash, a roar. His tank was hit for the 2nd time. Light, heat. And as darkness fell, he felt the words more than he heard them. For still the old school motto, till life's long journey close, will guide us true till the game is through, and for time the whistle blows. My husband's, one of his people at IMA who was training him was there at the battle with Arun, and he says, no one braver. He was absolutely outstanding. On the sports field of Sanar, people. That's where you learn it. Okay, conclusion, part 5. 2 questions. Tell me truthfully, are you fighting with your parents? Do you fight with your parents? Yes or no? Yes. Good. I hope you do. You will have no better sparring partners. But this is my advice. No sulking, no blackmailing, no fuss. Look, you're adults. Now when you have to deal with your parents, and listen, we our kids are still at sometimes dagger drawn and they're in their 30s, you have to use tact, because this is, I'm telling you what our kids do to us. Huh? They use tact, logic, and self-control. Quote. Give them quotations. Look at that perfect word. You know, me and my husband, we fight a lot. I know I'm right. He to maros me on Angrezi, yeah? It's not fair. So it's really vocabulary that matters. And once you cut your teeth on your parents, you're going to be able to take on the world, right? Secondly, no show of hands. I'll see from your faces. Okay, how many of you made mistakes? How many of you done something bad? How many of you have been disappointed? How many of you faced rejection? How many of you not got what you wanted? How many of you failed? Good. Because now you know that life sucks. Life is hard. It's not going to go your way. But you are ready for the road to success. Because it's only in the negative that you learn. So, rise, dust yourself off, adjust, adapt, think it through, evolve, learn, network, and of course, never give in. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for those wonderful, wonderful words. I will now be calling out the names of the students to please come forward and collect their jackets, mementos, and ID cards. I request the chief guest to please hand them out. Arav Khilnani, Achintya Sood, please keep forming in that order. Aditya Ranjan, Akanksha Chaudhary, Akshat Mundra, Anandani Talwar, Ananya Mukherjee, Anshruta Thakur, Anusha Rana, Arshita Chaudhary, Arshita Ghoshi, Arshit Bansal, Arihant Singh Samyal, Arindam Bhatia, Arun Aluwalia, Aryan Asri, Aryan Singh, Abhya Kapoor, Devika Vajera, Divya Gupta, Gauri Agarwal, Maj Gen, Kunal Kullar, Gurleen Kaur, Ishampreet Kaur Ahuja, Javjeet Bhadu, Chandni Kukreja, Jaideep Singh, Jasmoor Kaur Jatana, Jeevika Sachdev, Kabir Robin Mitra, Kadambari Sen, Karthikeyan Dakar, Satish Purania, Madhvendra Singh Chauhan, Mahika Goyal, Manasvi Goyal, Mayank Sharma, Meghan Bhagirat, Meher Chandru, Mohammad Anas, Nassan Suri, Nitya Khanna, Karandeep Singh, Kulpreet Singh Sandhu, Pratham Vijay Pratap Kalta, Prerna Madan, Raymond Garg, Vijay Seth, Ivan Singh Thara, Ronald Robert, Roshni, Sagar Syal, Sawan Andrew, Seher Mehra, Shyam Singh Sagar, Shannon Tina, Shardul Gaur, Shrey Arora, Simar Singh, Sneha Chiran, Suhasini Rana, Surashti Putela, Suryaveer Singh, Swamini Singh Thakur, Tejas Kochar, Unnati Swami, Varshama, Viraj Singh Rekhi, Viraj Mehra, Yudeep Singh, Yuvraj Chauhan, Yuvraj Singh Nuga. Thank you, ma'am. I request everyone to settle down quickly, please. Can I have everyone's attention, please? I would now like to call upon the President of the Society, retired Major General Kulpreet Singh from the batch of 1979, to come and give a few words and a vote of thanks to our Chief Guest.
Thank you, Simran. It's lovely seeing you all in your jackets. The fresh batch of 2020. Welcome to the OS Society. I interacted with you during lunchtime, and as Praminda has already spoken to you about what OS is all about, I just like to leave 2-3 thoughts from my side. Firstly is, please follow your passion. Don't do something which you don't like. Don't get forced to take on something which is being forced upon you by your parents or by your peer group. Follow your passion and you'll always do well. Never give in. That is always there. You'll always get some failures in life, but those failures, learn from the failures and move ahead. Also, learn to enjoy the journey. Don't focus so much on what the final part of your life is going to be. Enjoy the journey. Live each day as it comes by. And hope to see more of you networking with the OS. We all told you what the networking is about, and hope to see you on the OS website, asking questions, getting back to us, and hope to see you next founders, the youngest batch 2020 in good strength. I would like to thank Ms. Praminda Langar for having come to us for being the chief guest for this batch of 2020. It was great having her over in school. Thank you to the headmaster, the bursar, and thank you all for coming here today, for making this event a success. At the end, I would like to give a token of thanks to Mrs. Praminda Langar from the behalf of the OS Society. May I request her to please accept.
Lastly, can I show you the best thing I learned in Sana? It might flop.
May I request the past President, Justice Ballard, to present a check to the headmaster from the OS Society for purchase of cleaning machines for the school. request you to get together for a group photograph. You've got just 5 minutes because Mrs. Praminda will miss her train and so will I. Thank you. 5 minutes, please.
Hurry. We don't have time. So come, we take one photograph only. Jaldi aao. Wait. Coming.
Enough photographers.
Come on, sir. No, mine is different. Come on. Shono.
Yes. Yeah, come.
They use the gym team.
No, I'm fond of muscle leg.
All of you please look in front. Be ready. Ready. One more.
शर्मा जी शक्लें दिख रही है ना?
हाँ जी. Be ready please. Ready. Thank you.
Now you're going to miss your train. Come on, start. Thereabouts.
Three cheers for Sanawar. Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray! Three cheers for batch of 2020. Hip hip! Hooray!